You bought a Ninja what?
It's a Ninja Creamy.
A Ninja Creamy. This is a special Ninja blender?
It's literally a blender designed just to make ice cream, gelatos, smoothie bowls, that realm. We're not in a good state as far as the country's relationship with God, and you don't realize the possibility of harm that could befall you. It's called repeating history, to where we didn't learn back then, so now people are like, defund the police, and so then they remove the police, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, I can't protect myself, and people are harming me because why aren't they listening to the law? Oh yeah, because they're criminals. You all of a sudden are like, I need some form of protection, help the police, and then it just becomes this cycle.
That is two different things. We all know about that. The physical heart, pumping the blood, and then there's the spiritual heart. And the funny thing about that is that heart, our hearts, are designed and like a puzzle piece, if you will, to fit only one thing. And we'll look to fill it with about 100 or 1,000 different things and never find that thing until we find.
And dun dun dun, dun, another episode
Hello.
of Duo Jive. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Good evening, Chris.
Good evening. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, yes, sir.
Okay.
How are you doing?
Super stinking fantastic. But you knew that already?
I
think.
did. I just it's become tradition at this point.
I
You
know.
we gotta let the listeners know. So if they're new.
And I'm a fan of that, by the way, being able to let listeners know that we're doing well, that I'm doing super stinking fantastic.
I
Hopefully
need to
they're
come
out.
up something. I feel like it's boring to say good after, with you kind of taking over and going super sticky fantastic like that.
I'm not taking over. I'm just communicating.
Well, yeah, not taking over, but more like, like I feel like good it makes me sound like I'm not good saying just good when you're over there saying super stinking fantastic.
That's kind of funny. Hey, I had a guy. I was walking into one of the buildings on this site that I've been commissioned to here in Denver. And so I was walking into one of the buildings. He's one of the guards. And every time I see him, right, he's asking me how I'm doing. And he leans in to hear how I'm doing because he's so used to hearing me say to other people, I'm doing super stinking fantastic. How are you doing? Right.
He was
And
expecting
so
it.
well, yeah, and he wants to hear it. He told me that later. So then he asked me how I was doing. He leaned into it, and I said, "How are you doing, bro?" And he goes, "I don't know, but I'm trying to think of something I could say that rivals super sticky fantastic."
What can I say that sounds better but not too much?
Exactly.
That's a
You
fine
know,
line.
he did something with tip top dippity down or something like that. It was just it kind of rhymed. Yeah, he did. He really tried, and I was very excited. I got to memorize
A for
what he
effort.
said. I really liked what he said, and I asked him to say it again so that I could hear it again, right? But I love hearing when people respond to the fact that not just the fact that I'm doing super sticky fantastic, but the fact that they're not used to hearing that, right? How many people are used to hearing very positive responses to that question because we're all too programmed into saying, "Yeah, man, they're good."
Oh, I just did it. I just did it, and that's why it's like, okay, I'm doing better than good. It's just the
All right,
norm to say I'm good. So,
all right.
maybe I might have to steal something that he was introducing something new. I might have to go that route. We'll get there next week. Give me until next week's podcast.
Very good. Right. We'll be looking forward to it. Unfortunately, it's not a contest. So,
Well,
however, we're happy to hear that.
that's fair.
Right.
Then I won't try to one up you. I'll just try to create something of my own.
Very good. Very good. How was your week?
So it was good. But before we get into that, should we introduce ourselves once again?
Absolutely. So you
I love it.
are.
Well, I am Noah. Yep, I'm Noah Avery, and I live over in good old Wyoming.
Yes, you do.
Welcome to this neck of the woods. If you're listening from anywhere else, let's shout out to, you know, comment on where you guys live, because, or if you've even heard of Wyoming, or if you're from Wyoming, let me know what part you're in. And this over here next to me is
Chris, as a matter of fact, and I live in that least populated state, one of the least populated states of Wyoming as well. But I'm in Denver currently on a project. Hello.
close enough.
Yeah, man. And very excited
I
to be
mean,
with you tonight.
Yes, you're within, a weekend getaway to Wyoming, so
Absolutely.
you still fit the role. We can still justify saying Wyoming. I mean, I'm in Wyoming, so that right there alone in itself covers it. I don't know what I'm gonna do if I ever leave Wyoming. We're gonna have to figure out that scenario.
Yeah.
But that's a problem for the later date.
Right. And you don't have to think about it right now, but at one time you may want to,
Mm,
or may even be forced to. I went to Wyoming the very first time in 2011 for work because a good friend of mine called me up there. Right.
sorry to hear that.
Well, I mean, the work was fantastic and I really enjoyed it. And it became my primary career as an EHS consultant. Right.
Mm,
On construction projects. And God only knows how many lives we've saved in what we do. And that's one of the things I love most about my career. No, we don't police anybody. We don't. We never police anybody. We do look for an opportunity to build relationships with our guys and our teams and our crews and look for ways that we can all make sure everybody goes home safe, right? Everybody goes home to
mhm.
their wife and their children and that they continue to have a daddy. And sometimes mommy. And I love it. In that, I fell in love with it my first year in the business and haven't looked back.
Well, I'm glad to hear it, but we totally just went on brand for us. By the way, I wouldn't recommend doing that to the camera because people can see you when you're,
Well, I was looking up my nose. I
looking
was
up
hoping
your
the camera
nose.
could
I
look.
know, I see.
Well,
Nobody
for some
watched the
reason, I
YouTube
feel like I
version of
got
this
flares.
episode. Yeah, be warned, but we're totally on brand with what we just did. We totally immediately went onto, we went onto our unnecessary storytelling and just kept going in the middle of introducing ourselves.
Being
But
true
we'll go
to it.
ahead and
Yes.
resume.
Yes. Yes.
Welcome
Being
to this week's episode of Duo Jive. Whether you're tuning in for the first time or have somehow survived oh my, we made it to 40. 40 episodes.
Yep.
Seriously, thank you.
Yep.
Welcome to
Yep.
Wyoming's number one podcast for questionable advice, accidental wisdom, and deeply unnecessary storytelling.
I absolutely love that. I just love it. I
Mm,
look forward to it every week when you do that. Thank you for that, by the way.
right?
And
Right.
it
Well,
describes very well
the
who we
goal
are.
is, we definitely stayed true to it and we're on brand with immediately getting into it even before the intro into the episode. So that should tell you right there.
Hey.
Before we go any further, because I know we'll do it again,
Okay.
before we get into it, make sure to
Yes.
check us out on Instagram, TikTok, drop a comment with what you guys want to
Absolutely.
hear, see, or talk about next, and follow and subscribe wherever you're listening. It helps more than you think. We greatly appreciate it because as we grow, we'll be able to hopefully chat it up with you guys more and more. Look
And
forward to
if we
future
haven't
conversations.
Absolutely. And if we haven't responded to any comment you've made or even a question, please know that what we're doing right now, Noah and I, this isn't what we do for a living, right? We're doing it because you really want to be able to share things with the world, and it's a wonderful way to do it. But it's also, since it's not our full-time job, our time jobs is the best way to put that. Do distract. Do know this. We do every once in a while look at the questions and the comments and
We do.
value them whether they're energetic or they're positive or even negative. That's not a problem to us. As a matter of fact, kind of enjoy sometimes the negative comments because it'll do one of a couple of things. It'll, get you thinking, get us thinking, right? Or how we can make it better, or maybe not talk about things that they don't want to talk about. No, I don't think I'll ever do that. We do.
Luckily, the comments are far and few between right now.
Yes.
We're still baby steps. Episode
Yes.
40, it's a big deal. We've hit
Yep.
40 episodes now, but baby steps, small growth, and with that comes a small community. We look
Yes.
forward to those few comments here and there. If it
Yes.
grows any more, we might be in a little bit of a dangerous scenario because if they start flooding in, man, where are we going to find the time? Where are we going
Well,
to
it's
find the
gonna be.
time to,
Yeah, we're gonna have no choice but for me to hire somebody just to monitor comments.
right? Yeah, we're going to have to hire somebody that's
Yeah,
our social media expert.
absolutely, and that's not a bad thing,
Hmm.
right? It doesn't remove the human interaction element, and there will be times there are questions that are geared specifically at us, and from what I've seen so far, most of them are just generalized questions, but there are things that happen and questions that come up or comments that come up that I'll have no choice but to reply to because it's directed at us, right? And I enjoy those. And knowing which ones are which probably will help a little bit. We're not even close to that, so I'm not even going to talk about that anymore. We may never get to that point
Yep,
where the questions or
it's true.
comments are coming in too fast for me or you to reply to, right? And still, I mean, we could grow to a
Problem for a later
million.
date.
Yeah, we could grow to a million followers and still be able to respond to all of them personally. So I'm just going to forget what I just said.
Okay.
Rewind.
There,
Anyway,
right into the. Yep. Anyway,
that's
that's what needs to be our
unnecessary
catchphrase.
storytelling.
Anyway,
Anyway,
yes.
yeah, that's true. So
Anyway,
so how was your week then since we
it
took time
was
to address that?
good. Oh
Yeah?
dang! I feel like it's now I'm stuck on this good thing. I can't be saying good, and I got to get over good. It was great. It was
Yeah.
actually really, really good because this
Good.
weekend was kind of a weird weekend for me. I'm all about getting out of town. 2 weekends ago, we went to Cali. I'm calling it Cali now. I'm a
Yeah.
local resident
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
California
You
for the
picked it
first
up
time,
fast.
and that yeah, that was fun. It was a blast. We went to Disneyland. We talked about it in the previous episode. If you guys want to hear it, check it out on the previous one. And then this past weekend was just a little stay at home. We kicked it in Wyoming in town and just kind of chillaxed and recouped from the previous week. And then this
Yeah.
upcoming week we have where we're leaving again. So it was a bittersweet, or I shouldn't say a
Yes.
bittersweet. It was actually a much needed weekend at home, and it felt good for me. Like I've never been too, adamant about staying home. I get antsy, and this was
Yeah.
nice. So,
Yes.
just a stay at home weekend.
Yes. You and Lizzie both get kind of antsy if you don't running the roads or doing something.
What
Probably
can we
more
say,
so you. Your
I
sister,
guess
yeah.
we got that gypsy blood in us like you.
Yeah, I guess it is. And it's kind of funny because I don't consider myself a gypsy, but a lot of people feel as though I do feel or aspire to be gypsy-esque. Is that a word, gypsy-esque? Anyway,
You made
yeah,
it
man.
one.
Yeah, but it's fun.
How
It's
was your
fun.
week?
We're fortunate. You know what? My week has been incredible. My weekend was incredible. I know I got some things done that I had been aiming to get done for a while, and I've been very
That's good.
profitable. You know, it's so amazing because this year in Denver, this winter in Denver is weird. It's just weird. I mean, we're in February 9th, right? And it was 65 degrees today. What the
That
heck?
sounds lovely. Yeah, it's concerning, but it is lovely.
Right? And people are saying, "Oh man, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
hurt. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt." Well, I don't know how exactly how this nice weather can work, other than we're not getting a lot of snow, right? And snow tends to be
Mm-hmm. I think that's
it
the
tends
problem.
well, it helps everybody stock up on water, right? And the reservoirs become full, and the runoffs become really good, and
You don't
less
have
fire. Right, right. And I guess that could hurt, and that would hurt. And maybe we'll just have to be really, really careful this year not to throw any sparks or do anything that could start a fire. But no, it's been a really good weekend. It's been a good month. This whole week's gonna be just amazing. So I'm excited about that. I'm thankful. Some of my friends are now going with me from work, going to church with me, and really loving the services. We found a really good church here, and really having a great opportunity
nice,
to fellowship as brethren or sisters. They're both bringing their wives and enjoying it, and it's really cool to see what's happening here.
nice. That's good to hear.
My weeks are kind of boring, because I get off of work and I got all this time to burn now, and I never used to have that. But,
Gonna
I'm
have to get
blessed.
yourself a hobby.
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. And fortunately, I've
Mm,
got other companies, and lately they've been kind of pulling on my time just a smidge, and I like that. And so I've been devoting some energy to them as well. And pretty soon is a relative term, of course, but pretty soon I will be taking to market the very first of its kind RV. Lord willing. Anyway,
okay, you're gonna have to say that again.
very soon, and soon is relative, by the way. It's one of those things that makes sense only to the guys that are doing it. But very soon I will be bringing to market the very first of its kind RV. Yep.
That is very interesting.
Yes.
I don't even know where to begin with that because I feel like it's going to
I
be
can't.
opening up a can of worms.
It's all proprietary, and there's nothing I
Okay,
can
good.
say
So
about
nothing
it.
can be said yet.
No, sir, I cannot because it
Okay.
has to. Well, there are several things that have to be complete on it, and really just going to market is what it needs to do, and then people can snag one and turn it inside out and try to figure out how they can do one because it's going to be the best of its kind, quite frankly. But that's just
Well, you
me.
have me intrigued.
Well, and that's kind of my goal. I'm an RV freak. I've had all these RVs and I've really enjoyed them and I use them, right? And my family gets to use them because I'm in all these states. And so I see value, right? But people who are like me and very fond of RVing and people that want to get into RVing and don't know how to get into RVing there are some things that I'm doing better than the normal RV. Yeah, I think it's going to incite some excitement into this particular market. So we're having fun with it a lot.
Intriguing.
Very. Yeah,
Very,
it's
very
meant to be.
intriguing.
It's meant to be. So that's what my time is taken up by. If I'm not busy with what I'm doing here with I was working on a car this weekend, but if I'm not doing that kind of stuff, then and or witnessing to a friend, I got friends out here at the RV park that I'm in. And we just had an opportunity to spend some time in the Word. I believe God is in the process of doing something in their lives. But if I'm not doing that, then of course my proprietary is that the right word to it? My thing that I'm doing, taking this new RV to market, does take up some time, and I'm very excited about
Well,
it.
that's good. That means it's
Yeah,
actually worth something.
yeah, and that's just my week.
Okay. Well, that's just my week. I like that. Well, please don't tell me you're gonna disappoint again. Please tell me you at least
I am.
saved yourself in since last week's, disappointment that you missed out on tasting at least one dessert for the week.
I knew you were going to go there, and unfortunately, I'm disappointing you again. Well, okay, now hold on.
That
This
is devastating.
this should not be devastating to you or disappointing because I'm doing it for the right reasons, man. I am doing my best, and it's hard for me. You know how hard it is. It's really, really hard for me, man. But anyway, it's
Nope,
hard.
not buying it. Not buying it. I'm not asking you to eat desserts every night. I'm asking you to try one new dessert
Uh,
in the week, throughout the week, whichever it could be a Thursday night, a Friday night. I know you're enjoying pizza on a Friday night, which means if you are, you might as well have the dessert with it, and you're
yes,
slacking.
and yes,
You dropped the ball.
I never get dessert unless I'm with my family, first and foremost. Secondly,
That's
and
fair.
or there's some new thing that I'm seeing all of a sudden that I need to try, right? But
Yes, and you had a couple of those.
yes, I did, and I took advantage of them. Thank you very much. And I was going to. I
So you
had a
tried them,
plan. Not this week. Not this week.
dude. Well, gosh
I
darn
know.
it.
I know. It's horrible. It's absolutely
That whole
horrible.
segment is just going out the window because I'm the only one coming up with a dessert of the week over here.
Well, wait a minute though. We still want to know. Everybody want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. What did you try this week?
Well, of course, I got something. I got
Okay.
something,
Okay.
and the this one's a little more unique. I'm not letting it slide though. You still gotta work on this. One time a week, you gotta get a dessert in there.
Well, I received a text from another dessert aficionado today introducing us to Crumble's newest concoction, which happens
Oh
to be
yes, yeah,
amazing, right? And I'm going to get a chance to try it this week.
I'm thinking so. Which
Yes,
means we have
absolutely.
that to look forward to next week. It's gonna
Yes.
be another crumble week. Luckily, this week isn't crumble. I once again got into a dessert, but it wasn't crumble. So going a little outside the box, which is nice.
Okay.
And this
I'm
was a
listening.
homemade dessert.
You made it?
I should say a couple homemade desserts. Yeah, I actually, for my birthday, right before we left for Cali last weekend, so about a little over a week ago, I ended up purchasing a Ninja Creamy, which is a state of the art ice cream maker. And I was like, I could do some serious things with this. And this is more inside the realm of health. I was like, I want a healthy dessert. And what better way than to create something that's healthy and I make it at home so it's my macros, my specifications and all that
Yeah.
good stuff, and I can make
Yeah.
whatever flavor I wanted.
Control it.
And so I ended up finding a couple different recipes for some super health conscious ice cream flavors. I'm talking a whole pint. So you know the size of a Halo Top. That's like a half a pint of a Halo
Yes.
Top. A
Yes.
whole pint. So two Halo Top containers for 300 calories. And I started with a classic cookies and cream. So I got fat-free milk, 0 calorie sweetener, some zero sugar vanilla white chocolate pudding mix, some vanilla protein powder, and then a couple zero sugar Oreos, which I did not know were a thing until a couple weeks ago for my birthday, and I got some. I threw that on a blender, or I'm sorry, I threw it in a mixer, mixed it up, froze it, ninja creamified it, and turned it into what I can only describe as the best homemade ice cream I have ever had, to a point to where nobody else is going to get this, but I introduced it to a good friend of ours named Larry.
Okay.
It
And
may
he's a
put up
discerning
it
chef?
may put up with some handmade some our homemade churned ice cream that we always make.
Really? Yeah, and wow, he's
Dude, the macros are insane. You're eating healthy and it's still ice cream. And that was the beginning. And then I tried a few different concoctions. I did a Fruity Pebbles cereal milk ice cream, a cinnamon toast crunch ice cream. I'm doing a chocolate covered strawberry ice cream. The list goes on and on. It's endless. I'm gonna do a cake batter, a Biscoff, a Dubai chocolate. It's endless. And I can do this myself. And this has changed the game for me. This isn't that like crazy because it's not like a new dessert that came out or I'm trying this week's crumble or something like that. But this one was special because it's healthy. This is something I can enjoy every night. I literally mean every night I can eat ice cream, a pint of it for 300 calories and get my it has protein powder so it's got like 30 to 40 grams of protein and it fits in my macros. You can't go wrong with something like that and that's why I had to shout it out to say the least.
well, yeah, I can
We
only
are not
imagine.
sponsored by Ninja. But if Ninja is looking for more sponsorships, especially in the category of new up and comer podcasters, let us know. We'll make a sweet deal because we're still pretty small.
So you bought a Ninja what? You bought a
It's a
Ninja what?
Ninja Creamy.
A Ninja Creamy. And this is a special Ninja blender?
It's literally a blender designed just to make ice cream, gelatos, smoothie bowls in that realm. That realm.
Make
Ice
things
cream.
cold. Make things cold and
No, no, no. It's
harden
not
them.
like a. It's not like a. No, it doesn't make it cold. You create your ice cream flavor and then you freeze it and then it turns that block of ice that you freeze overnight into ice cream.
The
It
Ninja does.
creamifies the ice.
Got it. Got it. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay. And it's gonna have to check this out. Well, I'll be home in a couple of weeks. You're gonna have to break it out while I'm
Yes,
there.
you will.
Yeah.
When you do, don't you worry. You let me know what flavor you want to rock with and I will be more than happy to oblige on a 300 to 400 calorie ice cream pint that we can
So
enjoy.
any flavor but mango or flowery,
Okay.
something you like.
Well, how about all the flavors except for mango?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. In one, would that be taste?
Yeah.
Would that
Is that too much?
all
I
the
don't know.
flavors? Yeah, I think it
Everything
would
but
be
the kitchen sink.
too. Well,
Okay, okay.
you just put out a blurb from a podcast we did where you talked about the shake that you got that was chocolate, 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 and more chocolate. I think there was like what chocolate, 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 10 of them. I don't know, but it was
That was in
insane.
California.
Yeah,
That was
okay,
good stuff. And
yeah,
that thing was the opposite. That thing gives you diabetes eating 1 cup or 1 serving of the chocolate ice cream.
yeah. I could only imagine. I'm a chocolate freak,
Mhm.
but that might be too much chocolate for me.
I
Anyway,
don't know. What I
yeah.
think we need to do is take a little trip over to Cali, go over to downtown Disney, and I'll have to introduce it to you so that way you can judge for yourself.
Well, set it up. Let's go. I'll do it.
Okay,
You're gonna have to
I'm
come to
in.
town so we can fly out. Let's do it.
That's true. I come to you. Yeah. Yep, that's something to look forward to this weekend. We're gonna become. Are you okay with us coming and visiting you this weekend?
Heck, I am. I love it when you guys come, and I guess that's gonna be a interesting weekend because Jacob's flying in what Wednesday, and then
He
somewhere
is,
in
yes. So we'll be seeing him. Yep, off
is
and
he
on.
supposed to be stopping by your house? Yeah, and then he's coming to your house, right?
Yeah, he's gonna stay here while he comes up.
Yeah. Yeah, and then then you'll come up here or come down here or come over here, come down here. Yeah, man.
Yes.
So
Yep.
it's gonna be a
We'll
fun
sneak away for Valentine's Day this coming weekend.
yeah. Well, it's gonna be a fun weekend, and I'm looking forward to it, and
Man, me
relax.
too. Both Tiff and Tiff has explained it, or she's said to me that she is exclaimed? Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Exclaimed to me that she is pretty stoked about this weekend as well. Being able It's been a minute since we've gone to
It's excellent.
Estes Park, so
Yeah,
it'll be a
yeah,
blast getting down
yeah.
there.
It will be. We're gonna have fun.
Mhm. I agree.
And, it's almost tempting to take the RV over to Estes Park. We took the
Well,
RV and we were there.
how difficult would it be?
Not difficult at all.
Well, you already
But
have accommodations, don't you?
yeah, your mom already made some arrangements on accommodations, and I don't think there's any way possible that the RV would be as fun as the accommodations that she made. So we'll just forego that idea.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Hold off for this time around.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of the benefits to living near the mountains, you know, getting to enjoy those times of getaway and what have you.
That's true. Well, it just so happens that I dropped the ball. This week, we're actually filming or podcasting on a Monday instead of a Tuesday. We typically podcast on Tuesday, as you know.
Yes.
Anyone else out there listening, if you didn't know, now you do. We usually film on Tuesday, filming a night early because I have some prior arrangements happening and we got to get the episode in. So I dropped the ball and forgot to
So we're here
have a
on a Monday.
topic for the week,
On a Monday.
which means
Absolutely.
on a Monday, I'm dropping
Yeah.
the ball, man.
But that's all right. That is all
Oh,
right.
yeah?
Could I use that as an excuse why I didn't do my taste test of a dessert yet? Because think
Yes, the
that.
first time,
Yeah,
but the
normally
second
I
time
but even if we were doing this on Tuesday, I still wouldn't have because I've been trying
exactly.
to avoid and do the right thing. However, now that you mention it, it's not a bad idea to go ahead. Anyway, check it out, dude. It just so happens there is a point or a topic I have been wanting to chat up with you. You mind if I bring it up?
Well, just don't make it too obvious that we're gonna change topics, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I won't talk about the fact that we're changing topics like you just did.
Okay, yeah, don't talk about that.
Well, see, okay, so it's a no brainer, right? In 2026, we live in a much different world than I was raised in. So if you're listening or you're watching, I want to hear your thoughts. Okay, but it's a much different world. For example, when I was a kid, when I was younger, right? Now, I'm not talking about when I was a kid, because when I was a kid, there was none of this made sense to me anyway. Anything about politics or protests or people getting murdered in the streets, because during protests things went really bad, right? But it seems like to me, this generation, your generation, the generation below yours, right, it has this frame of mind like, we don't need police and we don't need to make sure the streets are safe. And
Isn't that crazy?
we'll protest these things that are happening to make our streets safe, to make our country safe, to make sure that if you come into our country illegally, people want to protest that stuff. Is that something that you saw developing while you were in school? Because you're just a smidge older in age than some of these people that are out there doing this
Are you
stupidity. But
talking high school? You gotta be talking high school specifically, I'm
yeah,
assuming.
of course. Yeah, because yeah, I mean, yeah, high school. We'll
No,
start there.
no, I'm thinking back on it, I graduated in 2017, so we're just under 10 years, a decade. Whew, wow, I just felt my age there, jeez. And,
I'm sorry, man.
yeah,
But
well,
I just
yeah,
had
that's crazy.
my 40th
Yeah,
reunion.
well, crazy. Well, the downside is I don't think I'll ever be able to experience a reunion because I homeschooled when I graduated, but
Yep.
that I don't know if that helps. I don't know if that helps because then I'm technically not as involved, not
Well,
being
your
in public school, so my predicament was a little different.
your
But when
first
I
years of high
graduated high
school,
school,
your first years, were you
the
not still at
first year,
ACA?
the first year, yeah,
Okay.
the first
Yep.
year, and then the last 3 were homeschooled.
I got you.
So it
I
was a
got
little different,
wonder if
but
there's a
that
reunion
that may
on your graduating year.
maybe. That'd be a little weird because I quit 3 years early.
Well, no, it wouldn't because they're still your school buds, but I don't think that they're still in that area anymore. I think I didn't I see where
Possibility.
you moved to another state entirely, and some of those
I haven't
students that you were in school
Ever
with?
since I left, I haven't kept touch. They say that whenever you leave high school, you keep in touch with, like, 3 of your friends out of the whole school,
Yeah, if
and then
not
you have your
less.
one really good best friend, if
Yep,
not less,
yep.
exactly, and so my circumstance is a little bit worse because I left 3 years sooner and was doing my own thing, which means that those relationships fizzled out even sooner, and yeah, it's just it was, now we're just Facebook buds. You gotta love Facebook because it keeps you in touch with the people that you grew up with, otherwise and that's another thing with your scenario, and even my scenario for that matter. Social media in the past 10 years has exploded whenever it comes to just everyone being so involved, older generations being involved with social media. So, all of that politics that was being handled may not have even been televised, may not have been as known just because it wasn't popping off on TikTok, popping off on Instagram, and because you only got it from the news, and the news was, in my opinion, very limited back then. And even though it was everyone's main form of news, main form of getting information, and compared to today's form of information from TikTok, Instagram, still, news articles and all that good stuff. It's just all the more prevalent, all the more, just consuming,
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
it's
and that may be the
easy. I
biggest
feel like
reason
that's a big
why
part of it.
that may be the biggest reason why it wasn't a deal to me, right? We didn't have social
Maybe.
we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have social media, we didn't even have computers. So, I mean, we had computers at school, but, in the house we had a computer, but it wasn't, it wasn't anything like us this age is, comparatively speaking. So it kind of stands to reason. And I never watched TV when I was a kid. I didn't do it when I was in high school. I never watched TV. I was too busy running around with my friends and just doing stuff. Ironically, I didn't keep any friends from high school. We're all friends on Facebook, but that's it, you know?
Gotta love Facebook.
Yeah.
But because of that, I feel like that's a big part of what you were talking about as far as the relevancy behind politics and riots and people wanting to remove the police, which is wild because there's a reason why it was formed in the
Defund.
first place and why it's been here for so long. That's been a core, because of people like that feel let's remove authority. The only reason you would like to remove authority is because of the fact that you want to do something that's not right or that's illegal and you want to get away with it. If you remove the authority, then you can run the streets and do whatever you'd like. You can, not somebody else, because obviously if they would do it, then they might harm you. And you don't want that. You don't want that. So you want the authority there in place to keep you safe, keep others safe,
Yes.
and the list goes on and on.
Well, it's law and order, right? They call it law and order. And law and order is one of the foundational components to keep our society different from some other societies, right? That's
Hmm.
one of the things about the United States. Law and order has been a fundamental part of who we are, and helped us be one of those countries that you could look at and say, wow, we're different. We're really different. It's because we have a very, very good system of law and order. Now it's been tainted by some evil people, and it's not as good as it used to be, sadly, because there are people that want to take that aspire to positions where they can influence these things and inspire them for the wrong. It's amazing because there are three different books in the Old Testament that really deal with where we are right now in 2026, the kind of people that we have in the streets and rioting and all of the stuff that comes with it, the chaos and the murder and all of those things that come with it. These books deal with today, right now, today, almost as though the prophet was here, like he was here, standing there in the streets, looking at all this junk going on. And it's amazing because our world did something not too long ago where it took prayer out of schools.
That was actually quite a bit ago.
And when it happened, there was a change in our society where parents started escalating on a really high speed rate towards the and splitting up the family unit no longer being what it's supposed to be. The United States government started giving handouts to people with the welfare system that didn't deserve it, shouldn't have it, and we all know what happens. The Bible says what the Bible says. about what happens when we have a welfare system like we have here. It's destined, it's really destined for doom. And we're heading down that path right now. But it's kind of me. It's really something that I wanted to hear your take on because you represent a large part of that demographic, generational speaking, generationally speaking, demographic that has changed. And maybe that's what it doesn't take more than two generations without God for a generation, for a society to begin imploding on itself. I don't know, man. Your thoughts?
I think just one.
Just one?
I don't think 2 generations, I think just 1, yeah. Unfortunately, I think it's a steady slope. It's a steep slope whenever it comes to removing God out of your life, and that's what they did whenever they removed it from public schools. But it's because we live in a country that is accepting of all. And when you take on that role of accepting of all, that means you're accepting of other religions as well, and you can't have one primary religion to most or to some, Christianity being a religion. Then they have to set it aside to where it's almost as an equal to the rest of them. And it's unfortunate because when you do that, you're going to face the repercussions. And we've seen it, especially in these past few decades. And I don't think it's going to get any better, unfortunately. Uh, I don't know if I'm necessarily a good candidate for a good representation of today's generation and my Gen Z, my because I don't necessarily know if I haven't been involved as heavy in that because I'm doing my own thing over here. So
Yeah,
it's
that's true.
limited on my knowledge
One of the
as
least
far
popular.
as what I know and do
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Especially in Wyoming. That goes hand in hand. I'm now in a state that is almost completely it's is the furthest away when it comes to learning about politics and other we get it all the same. I'm going to be honest, we get it all the same, but it's one more step to get to us before the rest of the world.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
that and then also me doing my own thing, just going and living my own life. You know, I'm not too knowledgeable, unfortunately. But I do know we're not in a good state as far as the country's relationship with God. And you can see it because what type of people would want to remove authority when they can't even protect themselves? I guess whenever you don't know what can get you and you don't realize the possibility of harm that could befall you when you remove authority, policing, and all of that, it all of a sudden starts to happen, and then all of a sudden it's going to be roles reversed. It's called repeating history to where we didn't learn back then. So now people are like, defund the police. And so then they remove the police, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, I can't protect myself, and people are harming me because why aren't they listening to the law like they should? Oh, yeah, because they're criminals and they attack you. You all of a sudden are like, I need some form of protection. Help the police. And then it just becomes this cycle, I feel. And
Well,
we're
that's a
just
pretty good
one
way of looking
step in that cycle, unfortunately.
at it. And life is cyclical, right? History repeats itself, is what people say. And that is the cycle. History repeats itself, and then everybody's wakes up to the fact that, oh, dude, by ignoring God and by doing what we're doing, we have created this society where people aren't safe anymore. And then they want to try to fix it. And one of the things that stand out the most to me is America has become now one of the most one of the countries where it is most necessary to evangelize. And what I mean by that is Barna Research did a study, I don't know, maybe 8, 10 years ago, where they discovered America is more unchurched than all of the countries in the world. It is most
That's hard
unchurched.
to believe.
It is the most unchurched country in the world, save 11. There are 11 countries where that doesn't fit the category, but it is the most unchurched than all of the countries. What is 100 some countries? And
I think so.
it's a terrible reproach. And it shows what happens when carnality takes over our life. And part of that was the fact that we just stopped going to church. And families just stopped going to church. And it's why now, traveling the United States like I do and trying to find a church everywhere I go, I'm finding it more and more difficult to find a church where the people go there for the right reasons. In other words, they're there to worship God. They're not there to get something from God. They are there to serve God, to worship God, to exalt it, to exalt
It's funny, we actually talked pretty heavy on an episode. What was that like? Man, that had to have been 6 months ago, maybe like our 20th something. I need to go back and find out. If I did, look in the description. The episode might be attached, and be forewarned. That is an older episode, so still learning. We're still learning, but we did talk about pretty heavily on what it takes to find a church and what things you should look for. And we
yeah,
talked about, the steps that require you to find a church that you can connect to. What are you looking for? And I feel like we should bring that back. I feel like that'd be a great way to get people more intrigued on the idea of church, because instead of just going away from it altogether, they can understand that maybe if I look for this, this, and this, and I try out different churches, I might find the one for me in the right way.
I don't know how adept I am at finding churches where I go, but I mean, I go to church everywhere I go, right? And I'll go to several if I don't find what I'm looking for, if I don't find it in the first or the
Exactly. You keep looking
church. Yeah, absolutely.
and you're looking for specific things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we all should be, right? But there are so many people now not even looking for a church. And then scripture talks about this in Hebrews, right? Forsake not the assembling of yourselves together, as the manner of some is, but all so much the more as you see that evil day approach. And we all know when and even if I'm a guy that doesn't go to church, I still know that we are, as a society, as a generation, as a time, we know we're approaching a point where it's soon going to be just, well, it's just like no right now, it's just like Noah in the world, Noah's time, right? As it was in the days of Noah. We've entered that time. And so we know that that evil day is approaching, as though it could get much more evil than it is. And we should be going to church more often. And now what I cannot find is churches who have more than one service a week, unless they're a church that has to have 2 or 3 services on Sunday morning because their crowd is so large, right? Those exist
Yes,
still.
a big enough church.
Right. But I mean, other than that, they're not meeting. When I was a kid, we went to church on Tuesday, Thursday, and then again on Sunday. We went twice, Sunday morning, Sunday night, and then we had youth meetings on Friday night or Saturday night. That was church. That was a lifestyle that propagated what we were living in, which was a country that was founded on God. Now I can't find it. And it's one of the reasons why our country's
It's not a thing.
no, it's not. And it troubles me a little bit. I want to know that people have a reason to live, and they also know that that reason is God, because God, right? He created us for a reason, to have a relationship with Him, and He's looking for it. And when you seek it out, and when you are in relationship with God, everything in your life will find the place it's supposed to be. You can't live a life without God and expect your life to make sense. Can't. It just doesn't. You think it does, but then you find out very soon that doesn't work either, right? So people have to have a relationship with God. I want them to, and maybe we'll never see it in my lifetime. It's possible we'll never see it in yours either. Who knows? I
No,
don't.
no, unfortunately, I think you're a little too positive. I think it's only going to get more evil from here on in. I
Yeah,
don't think there
you're right.
is a time and place to where things get better in the realm of, our relation as a world, our relationship with God. And unfortunately, with that, I mean, that's why you have to be as vigilant as ever when it comes to understanding who you are and understanding where you should be with your
Yeah,
relationship with God. and
yep.
and I think it's just it's only going to get worse, unfortunately.
I kind of
To bring the mood down. Shouldn't be
well,
saying that.
very often, I refer to our hearts, my heart, your heart, as two different things, right? It's a physical thing, right? We all know about that, the physical heart pumping the blood, and then there's the spiritual heart, and it you can't deny
Your
it
soul.
there. And the funny thing about that is that our hearts are designed and like a puzzle piece, if you will, to fit only one thing and one thing only into it. And until we find that one thing, we are going to feel empty like we've never imagined, but we will. We will feel empty.
And we
The
keep
only
searching.
And exactly. And we'll look to fill it with about 100 or 1,000 different things and never find that thing until we find God, because that's what that puzzle piece is supposed to be, right? It can only fit God. It was designed for that purpose. It's funny because people try, they think, well, man, I'll complete college and I'll find purpose in my life, right? And then I'll get this job I want. And I'll find my purpose in my life. I'll get married and I'll find my purpose in my life. Well, okay, now I'm going to have kids and I'm going to get a house with a white picket fence and all of this stuff that I feel like I have to have in order for me to have a big happy family, which is awesome. But that's the way we tend to feel many times. And sadly, we never find that wholeness or that happiness that we need in our lives in order to feel like we've not only done the right thing, but we're living who we're supposed to be. We're never going to find it until we find Christ, sadly.
You may have just opened a lot of people's eyes there, if anyone's listening. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for listening this far in. And you may have opened a lot of people's eyes because I feel like there's a lot of people that have that issue and have that constant battle. Like, what am I going to do to fill this, to fill
Yeah.
that void, to
Yep.
fill that void? And you don't know. You keep trying, you try and try, and then you find the next thing, and nothing's doing it.
Yeah.
And the answer
We,
may have been in front of them this whole time without
yeah.
them even knowing it.
Yep. We'll try drugs. We'll try alcohol, all kinds of stuff. And really, it's just that
Well,
one.
even more so, like you could try filling it with more positive things, like you said, with getting the college degree, finishing out school, getting the good job. These are more positive things that you wouldn't consider bad, but it fills up so much of your time that you look at it
Yep.
like, oh, I don't have
Yep.
time for a relationship with God.
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't
Yep.
have time to have a conversation with Him, and that is scary in itself because you're not a bad person, and
Right.
yet your relationship with God isn't what it should be, which makes you kind of feel less of a person.
Yeah. It's a crazy thing. And, you may go your whole before adult life and never realize it until much later. But
Hmm.
the dog got the bone, and now she's getting ready to chew on it.
She did. Is that code for time to wrap up the podcast, or are
Well,
you just
not necessarily, but the dog just came and stole her bone from my lap. I was holding on to it, so she couldn't
okay?
chew on it while we were on recording. Yeah, man. Well, hopefully, between now and next week, we'll have plenty of things to talk about desserts and other silly stories.
I will. I'm gonna be coming down to Denver, so I'm gonna have probably my main dessert, which is gonna be hard to find, and then a couple honorable mentions to go with it.
All
You,
right,
on the other hand, you need to do the same.
I do, and I make it a point. And since you're coming here, it's going to be easier. I'm sure you're going to be able, you
Oh,
are
that's
going to be
true. I can certainly help you on that.
absolutely help me out with
I'm gonna
that. So,
even introduce you to one.
now we're talking. Now we're talking. I won't be able to do the
Hmm.
chocolate thing, but some other thing. Absolutely.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair
man.
enough.
Yeah. Well, thanks for spending
So
time.
is this where we're calling it for the night?
I think we have to. It's been an hour.
It has been. Before we go, one last thing. I forgot to mention this earlier, but got to throw it in there for this week. We are only 12 listeners away from hitting 50 followers on TikTok, which means we'll be able to go live here shortly. And when we go live, we can do some pre-shows with people that actually want to tune in and listen before we go and do an actual pre-recorded podcast episode. Let them be a part of the action and be involved with the conversations beforehand up until leading into the conversation. So one more step, man. We're getting closer. I remember I was at one point, it was like 22, and now we're already 12.
And I'm excited. Being an old radio guy, I'm very excited. Looking forward to it very much so. Absolutely.
And with that, do you have anything to leave with the listeners?
I think I just did.
But any closing statements?
I think I want to hear what yours is.
Well, if I were to kind of refresh on what we just spoke about, obviously, what is your guys' favorite dessert? We're going to start with that because we talked about dessert for a little bit. So, what's your guys' favorite dessert? Where are you guys listening from? Is it from Wyoming? Is it from somewhere else out in the boonies? And on top of that, what do you guys think on our current state as far as our world, both with our relationship with God and our current political climate / situation? These are all questions that I have for you guys. Let us know, and well, that'd be a great way to start a conversation right there. But let us know.
Absolutely. Right on, man.
The hot take that I'm leaving you guys with, yes, another hot take that is, just get used to it at this point if you guys are listening, because that's the way we're going to wrap these up. But the hot take of the week for the week of February, the first week of February 2026 is most people don't want freedom. They want structure someone else designed. And remember, live life to the fullest.